All right, so today we're going to dive into how AI might be able to solve a superhuman problem. You know, that awkward, often unhelpful art of giving feedback. The big question we're tackling is this: can a machine really teach us how to get better at helping each other improve? I mean, come on. You've been there, right? You're trying to help a coworker or a classmate, but the words just don't come out right. It's either way too vague or maybe a little too harsh, or you just chicken out and go with a simple "good job" to avoid the whole awkward conversation. It's a struggle, we all know. And look, that feeling, it's not just in our heads. It is a very real, well-documented problem. So let's actually break it down. Why is giving good feedback so incredibly hard? I love this quote. It's from the actual study we're looking at today, and it's just so blunt. It basically confirms what we all kind of suspect. Decades of research show that we humans, we're just inherently not that great at giving feedback. So what's the deal? Why are we so bad at it? Well, for one, our feedback is often way too general. Saying something like, "you need more confidence." What do you even do with that? We also have this tendency to focus on judging someone's personality instead of their actual observable actions. And then there's the big one, that social awkwardness, the fear of hurting someone's feelings. Actually training people to do this well is super time-consuming and almost impossible to do at scale. Okay, so this is where the story gets really interesting. A group of researchers decided to tackle this problem head-on. They asked a really simple but powerful question. What if a carefully designed AI tool could act as a sort of feedback coach? So here's the setup. The experiment took place at the University of North Carolina with 129 Doctor of Pharmacy students. Now, these are smart, highly collaborative folks who already depend on peer feedback, which makes them the perfect test group for an idea like this. The experiment itself was pretty straightforward. They split the students into two groups. Group 1 was the control group. They just wrote feedback the old-fashioned way, following a set of instructions. But Group 2, they got to use a special AI prompt. They still had to come up with their own observations. The AI was more like a co-writer, helping them structure their thoughts into really clear, constructive feedback. Okay, but wait, how do you even measure if one piece of feedback is objectively better than another? You need a system. You need a framework. And that's exactly what they had. They used something called the TGAP framework, and it's actually pretty simple. First, T is for task. What did your peer do well? What were their strengths? Then G is for gap. Where is the room for improvement? What could be done better? And finally, A is for action. This is the crucial one. What specifically can they do to get better next time? So the experiment is set up. They have a way to measure what good looks like. So what happened? The results weren't just interesting. They were, frankly, dramatic. All right, let's focus on the most important part of any feedback, the actionable advice. Among the students who used the AI assistant, 72.8% gave specific concrete steps for how to improve. That number might not sound like a huge deal on its own until you see how the other group did. Only 22.8% of the students writing feedback on their own managed to do that. That is a massive difference. We're talking more than a threefold increase in the quality of the advice just by having an AI co-writing. It wasn't just about the action part. Across the board, for identifying strengths, pointing out gaps, and suggesting actions, the AI-assisted group was vastly better at giving specific, concrete comments instead of vague, unhelpful descriptions.
The AI-assisted feedback was definitely more detailed and highlighted more areas for improvement. But that raises an important question. Did it feel harsher?
Did getting all that extra criticism actually feel bad? And the answer here is what I find so fascinating. You'd think so, right? But no, it was actually the opposite. Even though the AI-assisted feedback was more direct and pointed out more weaknesses, the students who got it were less likely to report feeling bad about it. I mean, look at the numbers right here. In the group that wrote their own feedback, almost 13% of students said they felt offended or angry or frustrated. In the AI-assisted group, only 3%. It turns out that well-structured, genuinely helpful criticism is just so much easier to hear than vague, wishy-washy comments. What's the big takeaway from all this? It's about shifting how we think about AI. It's not about the AI creating content from scratch. It's about seeing it as a coach that helps us perform better. Let's run through the key insights. First off, AI can seriously improve the quality of feedback. How? It reduces what researchers call the cognitive load, that mental energy you spend just trying to figure out how to say something. This lets you focus on what you actually saw. It shows how important a good prompt is. It's like the scaffolding for your thoughts. Maybe the biggest thing is that this is a way to scale this kind of training for huge classes. But the AI did not invent the feedback. It wasn't there watching the presentation or in the team meeting. The students still had to do the hard, uniquely human work of observing, listening, and thinking critically. The AI just acted as a translator, a powerful tool to turn those human observations into clear, structured, and genuinely helpful language. And all of this leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? If AI can be a coach for a skill as deeply human and nuanced as giving feedback, what's next? What other soft skills could it help us get better at? This really could be the start of something huge for personalized learning.